In the heart of the mighty Mughal Empire, Emperor Akbar, now older and wiser, found himself pacing the grand halls of the Red Fort. A heavy silence had fallen over the neighboring kingdom of Vishnupur. No envoys, no trade disputes, not a whisper. In the world of emperors and kings, silence is rarely a sign of peace. It's often the quiet before the storm. A quiet neighbor is a plotting neighbor, Akbar muttered to himself, his gaze fixed on the distant horizon. Was Vishnupur sharpening its swords for war, or simply enjoying a season of prosperity? He needed answers, and he needed them now. To uncover the truth, he summoned his most trusted spy, Raghav. A man known to move like a shadow, to hear the secrets a city whispers in its sleep. Akbar's command was simple and direct. Raghav, go to Vishnupur. I want a complete picture. Their military strength, the height of their walls, the state of their treasury. Do not return until you hold the secrets of their kingdom in your hands. Raghav, ever loyal, set out at once. For weeks he traveled the dusty roads and navigated the crowded markets of Vishnupur. He watched the city gates, counted the towers from afar, and sat in taverns, his ears open to the idle gossip of the locals. Finally, weary from his long journey, he returned to the imperial court in Agra. Emperor Akbar sat upon his magnificent peacock throne, his piercing gaze demanding answers. Speak, Raghav, he commanded, his voice echoing through the silent court. What intelligence do you bring? How many legions do they have? Where are their weaknesses? Raghav bowed low, his voice trembling slightly. Jahanpana, I walked every street and watched every gate. But the kingdom is a puzzle. I saw high walls, but no soldiers standing guard upon them. I saw bustling markets, but no weapons being forged. I have brought this. He unrolled a piece of parchment and laid it before the emperor. It was almost completely blank, except for a few random lines and some vague shapes. It was a useless sketch, a collection of scribbles with no strategic value whatsoever. Akbar's face darkened with frustration. You return after a month with a child's doodle? What good is this incomplete data in securing my empire? This tells me nothing. A heavy silence fell over the court as the emperor's anger simmered. It was then that a young, clever minister stepped forward. It was Birbal, his face calm, a knowing smile playing on his lips. Majesty, Birbal said softly, his voice cutting through the tension, perhaps the map isn't empty. Perhaps we are simply not reading what is written between the lines. He turned to the spy. Raghav, do not tell us what you failed to find. Tell us every single thing you witnessed, no matter how trivial or insignificant it seemed at the time. Raghav, looking confused but obedient, began to recount his observations. Well, he started, I saw children playing in the streets. Almost every child had small, carved wooden figures that looked like soldiers. They played with them constantly. I also noticed that the bakers in the cities seemed to specialize only in sweet pastries and fruit tarts. I couldn't find a single shop selling plain grain bread, and the pigeons. There was a cellar in the main square with birds so loud they could be heard across the entire district. Raghav continued, gaining confidence as he spoke. I also noticed that while there were very few guards at the south gate, the one facing our lands, the north and west borders were swarming with soldiers. And strangely, every royal banner I saw was dyed a very specific, dull shade of green. As Raghav spoke, Birbal began to draw rapidly on the back of the spy's useless parchment. His hand moved with purpose and clarity. 2 days later, Birbal returned to the court and presented Akbar with a masterpiece. It was a detailed and accurate map, complete with markers for military strength, resource locations, and strategic vulnerabilities. The emperor and his ministers were absolutely astonished. Birbal, Akbar exclaimed, his voice filled with awe. How did you create this from the ramblings of a spy? Birbal smiled and began to explain his brilliant deductions. Majesty, logic is a lens that brings a blurry world into sharp focus. The children playing with wooden soldiers told me everything. A culture where even children play at war is a culture that nurtures a massive, disciplined army from birth. Their true military size is hidden in their people, not just on their walls. He pointed to different regions on the newly drawn map. The baker who made only sweets told me that they have a surplus of sugar and fruit, but a shortage of grain. This allowed me to locate their primary agricultural regions and identify their critical supply dependencies. And the loud pigeons? Those are bred for communication. It means they have a robust and lightning-fast system for sending military signals. Birbal then pointed to the borders on the map. They guard the north and west borders so heavily because that is where their true enemies lie. They do not fear you, Akbar, which means their intentions toward our empire are peaceful. They are focused elsewhere. And the banners? Akbar asked, completely captivated. They use a dull green on their banners because that specific dye comes from a mineral found only in the mountains to the east. This reveals their hidden mining operations and a source of wealth we knew nothing about. The emperor was delighted. Birbal had transformed scattered fragments of everyday life into a masterpiece of strategic intelligence. The tension that had gripped the court was replaced by a clear and profound understanding of their neighbor. Birbal bowed and offered his final thought. A kingdom's true measure is not always found in its visible armies or towering forts, but in the everyday clues that most people overlook. Wisdom, majesty, is simply the art of seeing what is hidden in plain sight. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story of wisdom and wit, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more tales from history. See you in the next video.